Welcome to Power of the Common People. Your host, Marcy for MLK. Thank you for listening, and I hope everyone is at Shalom, which means peace, and I wish you the best. We went through another week, and now we're here. This is Friday in the Bay Area, and I have a lot to say. Today, I want to think about some of the movements, some in the 1960s and some in the 1970s. The civil rights movements, the War of Vietnam, the United States foreign movements, segregation, the oppression, the native tribal tribes, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, the NAACP, United Farm Workers Movement, and for all the people who are listening. I want to go back to a time when we as people worked together. We knew that we had to be on one accord. We had something that we was pushing for. Also the women movement. These movements impacted and did a lot, or we wouldn't be here today. Some of these movements are still around, and some have been dissolved, aren't even some aren't even not even known about within the history, not even school history. Some of these movements are not even in school books. Some of these impacts, they changed a lot. But let's go into advancing where we at now. Some of these things have occurred in history. And if we go way back or where we at now, some of us have not advanced. We have not seen any social justice in those particular realms. There's a moral obligation, and there's racial disparities. They still exist in education, economically, politically, sociologically, psychologically, and people are still not able to move according to the white picket fence. Race is still the main issue. Every day in the news, the media, we continue to see these same issues. And if we go back in years, the same issues, but it's differently, has a different recipe. Some of the things been added more, but Jim Crow still exists. It's just done in such a way that you wouldn't catch it or be aware of it. Discrimination is still strongly powerful because there are people that still believe that you are complaining and you are making up a fuss. We noticed in San Francisco at the very last minute, The Board of Supervisors apologized to African Americans about so many things that was done to them, educational wise, denying them, housing, denying them, and disregarding. And when it comes to health wise, denying them. At the very last moment, as they call it, a Black History, the last day, the Board of Supervisors made that decision. A lot of Black, the word Black, and that Black History Month is not even worth the 28 days. We have so many people who have set the framework and have made so many powerful contributions, but being distracted from and pushing them out of the history and not giving them their due process and respect. It is devastating that we have so many powerful people who ancestors and people and family members who are still suffering from racial disparities and not given equal liberty and justice as they call for all. This is so many social changes have been made. We pushing out the real issues and not looking at where we at now. We, the people, did not get here on borrowed time. There were people before us, these movements, people who did the final root and planted the seed. And we, the coming people, have a lot of sellouts. Those who are recognized right now is starting to, the curtains are starting to show who they are. Most of these people who have sold out do not care and are also have been publicized to a point that looks like all of us is like the sellout. When the back door, they run out, but who remains on the center stage in the back is us. We are the people. Because of so many people who have came before us, so many leaders who are now killed or claim to have killed themselves, which we don't respect the fact that they are being disrespected. We know that if it wasn't for them and their contributions, we would not be where we're at. It's so many of us is afraid and fear if we do speak out, we will lose everything and they will come after us. Yeah, they already after you. They already been coming after you. Some of you have experienced where you come home to your house and it looks as if somebody been in your house. I'm going to tell you something. They follow you, they watch you, and the whole desire for them is to stop you from moving to the next level. Some of you have been pushing this fight and they know who you are. It is no coincidence that some of you and family members who have been switched off to jail and prison in the feds, not doing 5 years, but 20 something and up. Now, don't get me wrong, there is people that need to be incarcerated. But because of this game and this framework that has been set up years and years ago, it has caused a great deal of breakage in the family. Because when that person goes in, the family suffers just as well. I myself am a member of that club. Although it hurts, but I still have to fight. The social justice in our country, emphasis on more criminal activity, but rehabilitation, there's no such thing. There's more rooted in violence and growth. The Jim Crow movement has a powerful group. I want to know how they have these different organizations that are against people of color, and they are able to march around town and exist when there's other organizations have been dismantled. Is that fair treatment and freedom of speech and belief is not fair? But who cares? None of our politicians have done anything. None of our legal systems have outlawed them. Their ownership and backings, you'd be surprised who and where they work at. And you'd be surprised of people of color who's also work with them. This is time for us to stop and take a look. Reparations is one of the leading issues. Some of us believe that that's not even possible. I'm asking you, people, to start screaming, shouting, and wanting something that you deserve. How dare you not want it? Others have gotten their share. The wealth and the growth in this country, economically, people of color is put behind the scene. They are not given equal balance. We need to wake up and stop being scared, hiding out, hiding behind the door. There's no freedom until we get this, because everything that we're going out on a limb for a football player, a rapper, people who we jump up and rah rah for, don't care about you, a basketball player, don't care about you or your family. If you look at poverty in the United States and you look at the level of different races, there is a high level and there is a low bottom. We, the power of the common people, we need to grow up a little backbone strong, swing with the hardest swing that you ever can swing from your heart. There is so much surveillance on your life, cameras on your cell phone, devices on your TV, everything in your house, around you, within your looking device, can see everything you do. So there's no reason that you should fear anything. If someone is taking your privacy from you and you don't know this while you use the bathroom, taking care of your children while they undress, or you yourself undress, wouldn't you say, "Ah, this is not something I signed up for?" But you don't get a chance to make any say so. You now have no opportunity to speak your mind. Those days will come, and you're going to wish that you would have spoken out. There is a gap. This gap of fair treatment is still hardship for us. There's a problem here when I cannot feed my child because of my income will not increase. There's a problem here if I can't have what easily somebody else can get. If I myself live in a community where the stores only sell liquor on sale and different cigarettes and everything is open with candy and different foods that are not healthy can get. But in order to get the good stuff, I would have to spend more money. So I'm going to go to a break. Think about that. Welcome back to Power of the Common People. Your host, Marcy for MLK. I want you to understand the color of your skin is powerful. It is so powerful that it stops people in its tracks. Racial discrimination in education that starts off as a child going to school and then not getting the full meal and then going on to a higher level and then finding out they cannot compete with a child who's from a different background that have the education that was given the foundation, are either a child in school who is criticized, broken, and bullied where they drop out of school. And then they have to go on and figure out not knowing what their life is going to be like. There is no chaperone person to guide them or any of them for that sake. And then when they get a hold of the streets and you have some sellout grown ups who introduce them to a faster lifestyle. And then they learn that in order to be in that lifestyle, they need to protect themselves. And when they learn that, they learn about the taste of the streets. These things that I mentioned is set up just as when a mother for the first time have a child, she's not aware that she's alone. And the system is not going to provide her any way unless she do it herself. Our father, who's trying to support his family and cannot get a job because the education or the training that he learned in school cannot compete on the job, and he cannot sustain a job that will support his family. Back in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, we're in 2000. How long? And they say you're blaming somebody because of this. No, I'm not blaming somebody. I know it is the structure that has caused these effects. The civil rights movement got pushed down because of the war in Vietnam. The money was sent for that. The United States farm workers had to make that movement because they were out in the fields, bending their backs over, picking fruit, doing and surviving for their families, but weren't given the opportunity. The union had to make balance. The segregation has been going on for a long time. When you look at a low income family compared to a person who owns their home. They're given opportunities, loans. Lenders come slapping at them, begging them to take advantage and give them the monies to make the purchase for that house. We know that others have gotten restitution and others have been given the opportunity that the United States have made whole. But we still keep asking and begging and pleading and wishing for something that was taken from us, was denied back in the 1400s. We are given a tiny spoon, teaspoon, where others are giving the whole full cup of water. The native tribes were given opportunities to get some of their land, but was pushed off because nobody wanted to hear the truth. So push them off into a land, give them reservations, and give them an opportunity. But don't let them tell their stories. The women who fought to be heard weren't given an opportunity because the oppression of men who felt women shouldn't speak. People weren't given opportunity to vote where they can, people of color, speak their own life into existence and change laws. These laws have not been changed. You can vote as much as you want. What have been changed? We've had different presidents come into office back to back, and the people have not changed. Nothing has gotten better. It's gotten worse. The Bay Area, like I said, San Francisco may apologize to the African American community, but most of us got pushed into Oakland. Power of the common people. This impact have caused us damage. It has separated us where we cannot speak anymore because most of our leaders were either killed off and some, as we know, there was always somebody in there to dismantle this whole organizations. And the lies that the media told created such a delusional where people don't know now the truth. But if we know the facts of what happened to the Black Panther movement, and we understand now that that movement did not stand radically. But in order for you to understand separation and division came from a long time ago. When we moved as a group, when we move as according to a purpose, and we understand that this is too much, will our grandkids survive the next generations, the setbacks, or know the truth? This system has rejected people of color a long time ago. Let's acknowledge this. They have set a structure of racism a long time ago. Let's know the facts. And for us to sit here and be afraid because we can't get justice, that's because we need to come out and demand it. Power of the common people. I now am going to be out and about. I will be signing signatures. I will be on platforms and in the Bay Area. I feel as if it is my duty while I stand with the breath in my life to hold in my mind and my heart that these events must take place. Just as we walked years ago when Malcolm X spoke, just as we walked years ago when Martin Luther King went to Washington and said his speech that he had a dream. We cannot keep going, and I believe that some of us is still trying to recover from the deaths of these leaders. Now we are watered down. Some of our most powerful people that's in the universe, there's people of color who hold those bags, do not care to speak up. Where is Jesse Jackson? And where is the rest of the people? So, those of you who hold degrees and PhDs and have all this information, why aren't you leading a fight? Why do everybody want money or want something or afraid? The most powerful men are afraid. There's too many puppets and too many hands movements in these puppets. Although there are some powerful people in the industry, none of these people seem to care. They invest their money, but some of them need to invest their money in the people who put them up. Jay-Z, you would not be where you at. And some of you people who invest in some of these rappers, they would not be where they're at. And look, have they invested in you? In fact, they have pushed themselves away from you. And this is our racial disparities. I'm going to go to break. Welcome back to Power of the Common People. Your host, Marcy for MLK. My final intake is freedom in this land. How dare I wake up and walk out and put my feet on this land? My daddy and my mother worked hard. My great grandfather and grandmother worked hard. And my great, and so is your great grandparents worked hard. But we right now have so many people who are trolls and sellouts. They are not investing nothing and they are not giving anything into the community. When we have anger in us, like we're looking at a game, shouting for our team, getting mad because that player's not playing in their position, why don't we spend that same energy with what's going on in our country? Why aren't we making a stand? We as the people, we don't have any ownership to nothing. We don't have any backing to anything. We don't own any shoes. We don't own any clothing. We don't invest in ourselves and our people. I am proud to tell you that I have made changes. I don't want to invest my time with people who don't care about me or my people or my people of color or the power of the common people. Why would you give your energy to someone who don't or people that don't care about you? If you ask anybody of a race that care about their people, you can see the love. I'm proud of different other races who care about their people. We need to know that when we was marching and when those brothers sat at the Woolworth back in the day to ask for fair treatment to get served. They stood there. And when those students who went to school in a white area, they risked their life. Now, if we don't see the risk that they did for us, but how dare we be scared? You're scared of what? Because, like I say, they already know who you are because of your blood type and your social security. It's evident they already know what you're made of. And they understand that as long as you feel that way and disrespect each other, and the brothers disrespecting the women, it's broken. We are getting so close enough to breaking each other apart that children disrespect their parents. Had it not been for the crack cocaine, that's where all the brothers, uncles, fathers, aunts, sisters, mothers begin to feel the disrespect. How dare we disrespect a woman? When you listen to Tupac and he sings, "Dear Mama, you are appreciated." There is so much disrespect in our race that we cannot see it or we do not understand. We've set the framework. It is all messed up. I need to enlighten you. This culture racism, this at the United Front. Human rights is at the United Front. We are accomplishing nothing the way we going about this. We need to come back and look at why we're falling down. So look inside yourself. You could be the enemy that's keeping your own race back. You can know someone who is the enemy of keeping your race back. It is in the churches. It is in pastors. It is in as they open the door on a Sunday and just shut it Monday through Saturday. There is a solution for everything. My final take is for us to look at each other right now and ask ourselves, what can we do physically to make it better? Because your opinion and your thought is not going to work. We need doers, head leaders, mindset, mentally focused on solving this issue. I thank you, power of the coming people. I want you to be well. I wish you and your family great love. Nobody can do anything unless they're motivated. You are your own power. And if you love your children and your future of your children's children, you would start to understand that is very important. Everything else around you is a distraction. If you want to be by yourself, the world is still moving. If you want to be into what's happening, to what's going on, and be aware that you might have it in you to push the power of the common people and change these laws and fight for a better life. Thank you. Welcome. And let's play the ending. And I give thanks to Ellen Nash in San Diego.